So, I'll show you how to make parts of your object crumble away, like this, which is cool. So, so I've got these, I've got nodes placed in positions. You could see anywhere I put them, it breaks away. And I'll show you how to do it in TP, thinking particles. It's a short setup, quick setup. Cool. So let me just start a new scene. No. Alright. So first you want to get your floor. Make sure it's a box. Has some thickness. Alright, so your object could be anything you want. I'm gonna make it just a cylinder. So, oh, and I'm working in centimeters, just to let you know. That's always good to know. Alright, so I've got my object, floor. Alright, so put your thinking particles in there. Alright, open up the properties, which are way over here. Alright, so first make this your object. Let's just call it the cylinder. Wow, that's not how to spell cylinder, is it? Oh man, I'm not good at spelling. It's embarrassing. Okay, cylinder. Then we need our floor, which I'll call the collision environment. And then we need some gravity. So gravity. And inside the gravity we want frags. Cool. So we got 1, 2, 3. Frags, make it nice and blue. Alright, master dynamic. Create a dynamic set. Procedural frags. Birth. So we want to put in your object to particle, pick your cylinder, and pick the floor. So name this cylinder. I can spell it right first time. And this is the collision environment. So the naming between these two are totally irrelevant. I just do it to keep the flow making sense. So, all right. cylinder, make sure you've got it inside cylinder group, collision environment. Alright, done. Let's hide these. Turn on show mesh. Turn that off. Alright, so there we go. We have our awesome cylinder. So now we need to break it. So underneath your dynamic set, make another one. Call it, I'll make this gravity. Get your gravity group. Not that. No, I just did it again. There you go. Okay. Force. Centimeters, so I think this is like 150. I did the math. If you're this big, I think it's like 154 or something. That's probably accurate. It's a little accurate. And which direction? So put a point vector, -1 direction. There you go. Okay. Now we need a shape collision node. Shape collision. Ah, that's what I didn't do. Okay, so I did not make a group. Name this SC for SC. So anything in this group will be inside the shape collision rules. So cylinder and the frags are all gonna have dynamics. Shape collision. So make sure you've got shape collision group, and then the deflector. Anything in the collision environment. It has a floor node input where you can put a node, and let me just unhide the box. Hide TP. Pick your floor and throw it in there. I don't use that because sometimes almost every time my environment will have different objects, different shapes, and this limits you to one object, which sucks. So just make sure your deflector is set as the collision environment. So anything in the collision environment will be basically your ground, or will collide with anything other than it. If that makes any sense. Okay, cool. So hide these again. Unhide thinking. Alright, so we've got ground, gravity. Let me just throw in the cylinder here just to see. Well, it's not moving because nothing's happening. So okay, now we need activators. We need those little boxes to activate fragging. Make another dynamic set. I like to name it activators. And we're going to put in another object to particle. Activators. Make another group. Call this activators. So anything in this group will activate fragging. Alright, so first let's make a point or a box or a sphere. You can use anything you want. You can use you can use another cylinder. All these can be activators. I like to use a node. It's simple, or a point. It's simple. And yeah, so put one right there, select it, put it inside your activators group. Got these checked. This tracking is if it has animation on it. So if you had this thing animated going through that, if you didn't have this checked, if this is at to attract to none, it would instance the shape. It would put this inside the rule, but it wouldn't have animation. So TP would just think it's static the whole time. So check that there, object particle. And cool, so we have an activator. Now, now we need an area around it that gives it, that gives this thing, that tells us the fracture with volume breaker. So throw in a position born. It's just like it's just a particle emitter. Throw your particle to born particle. So anywhere you've got an activator, anywhere this thing is, it will born particles. So make another group. Call this particle frags or whatever you want. Color pink. Put this particle born in particle frags. Go pistol shot, go 100, throw life on there, turn speed off, variation, turn it up, and you'll see what this is doing in a second. Okay. Oh. When you're under master dynamic and you've got set to show mesh and none, instead of showing ticks, none, any other group will default to a global rule. So just make sure your particle frags, which is your particle born based off your activator, is turned on to ticks or dots or whatever you want. That way you can actually see what's going on. So throw up your mid distance. Oh, and let me just turn that off so we can see live update. Alright, so there we go. Some an array of particles. Alright, you can play with the settings, do whatever you want, make it as big as you want. I like that. And then let me just get rid of the animation. I'm gonna chuck it right here. Let's put it up here. Alright, cool. Particles. Nothing happens, obviously. Alright, so we have that set up. Anywhere this is, and we have our controls, so we can make it bigger, smaller, add more particles, or whatever. Cool, so now we need to break it, so make another set. In this fragments. Make one inside there, just because we're going to make a couple different fragment rules. First one is just name it frag. Alright, so we want our source objects, which is the cylinder, to fragment based off of this area, these particles, wherever this node is. So we got our group, and let's throw in a volume breaker. Pipe that in there, and then tell the volume breaker to go to frags. Let's name that to frags. Okay. So, based off this cylinder is going to volume break based off of the area in the node, and go inside from cylinder to the frag groups, the frags group. Alright, so you can see that already it's breaking. We want to tell it to break based off these particles. Let's go down to the cells, specify particle frags, which is the particle born thrown into the particle frag group. So there you go, already, see, cool. So anywhere that is, it breaks. And then once you break based off of the particle cells, the raster and density stuff will become useless. So the frags are all based off of how many particles you have and how big they are, yada yada. Okay, so now we need to make the fall. This is the cool part. I use this a lot, just because it's super awesome. This is a real simple way of doing it. So, alright, so we need to make it fall. So the cool part about this is, instead of turning the activate up all the way, which activates every frag, we can control that by using a helper. And so what I like to do is you can do this. You can either use a helper, use this helper, give it a threshold based off that helper, which is alright, but I like to use the actual group instead. So I use the same group, particle frags. So not only are these particles creating the frags, they can also be used to activate them. So once you have the group as an activator, then you give it a threshold. You can see them turn blue. So from your cylinder, which are the orange frags, to the blue ones, which are the activated ones. Let's name this active frags. They activate, so they're going gravity. And you can see that it looks like crap. This thing's sinking through. Fix that. Just go give it a mass. Cylinder, give it mass, size is mass, give it like 10. So now this thing won't move. Oh, and you can also turn frozen on. That way, for the most part, these will not move unless they are given a velocity, an outside velocity that breaks this threshold. I could talk about that later, but yeah, so just give it a mass, and then you've got already these falling. And they're still acting a little jumpy, so make sure your voxel grid is to 1, which makes it completely convex. It takes on the exact shape of 3. I think it gives it like a rough cube-like boundary, so it's really not accurate, but it's a lot faster, so that is the benefit. So put this to 1, and you can see already, well, it's still acting a little weird, but let me just turn the gravity down, like 95. That's not bad. It could still use some love, but just for this video, that's good. Alright, So I can move this around anywhere, give it, oh, you can also, I would take this, the active frags, also give it an accurate convex shape by bringing it down to 1. And there you go, already it's, and then you can also mix with the friction, bring this down a little bit, cylinder, bring this down a little bit. Ooh. Turn that up. And then I'm also going to give these guys the actual active frags some mass too. Okay, like 10. Jeez, these are acting a little weird. So I'll just pipe those particles up, give them more. Alright, that's better. Whew. Cool. I still kind of like the friction on these things, so. Alright, you got this stuff dissolving, decaying, basically. So it's cool, anywhere I put them. And the cool part is I can add in as many activators as I want. So I throw in another point here, throw it up here. All you gotta do is add it into, see, already it updates. Add it into your activators group. And, so there you go. Move this down, it's real flexible. And you can even take it even further, add another fragment these pieces come their way down. So we can use its velocity to frag even more. So name this velocity check. Alright, so give it these active frags. And hide the velocity. Go to condition threshold. Put that in there. Volume break. I had the on in there. So these active frags, which are the blue ones. Let me turn these off so I can see it. Alright, active frags, which are the blue ones, based off their velocity, if it hits this its threshold of, I'll put 20 in there. If it reaches 20 in the velocity, it will turn a new volume breaker on. So this one we could just make it 10, 800, and I like to keep it around like 60% active. You can add a timer and some stuff to activate it, but just for this case we can just use the percentage. So under gravity, add a new group, make this velocity frags. Point this to velocity frags. Make these like green. There you go. So when these pieces hit a velocity of 20, they will volume break, and they are, I'm gonna bump this back down. It's down to 50%. Boom. Which is probably too much, so let's do like 35. Cool. Let's cache this. Alright, so cached it, and this is what we got. So cool. So you can just keep trying. You can even take these, you know, you can make another velocity check 2, you know, put these velocity frags, give these a threshold for the velocity, because you can keep, you know, breaking them up as far as you want them to go. But yeah, so real easy, and the best part about this is you can add in as many activators, and the second you add them in, it'll update. So boom, already updated. It's awesome. Cool. So there you go.